Back here talking Packers with Bart Scott and Nick Wright. Aaron Rodgers, like Tom Brady, has got a plan for how much longer he wants to play football. Implementing that plan is the tricky part. At 35 years old, Aaron sees another 10 years in him.
10 years.
But the Packers missed the playoffs the last 2 seasons. So that 10-year plan better come with some urgency. Here's A-Rod on the Rich Eisen show, laying out the perfect picture end to his career.
Win Super Bowl when I'm 45 and right off into the sunset.
Nice. Do you envision yourself playing deep into your 40s if you can?
We'll see. I mean, I envision playing as long as my body feels good and I have, you know, the love for the game that I do right now. You know, that you know, still fuels me and still a passion, and I still love the daily grind and the practice and the preparation. And if I can give everything to the team in that manner, then and my body feels good, I'm going to keep rolling.
All right, Nick, assuming that he does love the game, he feels like he wants to be out there, all of the things that he said, is the window closing on Aaron Rodgers to win another Super Bowl?
It's not closing, but this year is going to be critical in determining how open it still is. So maybe I should say it's certainly not closed, but is it slowly closing, or were the last 2 years, you know, one is bad luck with the broken collarbone when the team was really good. The other one is a little bit of bad luck with the knee injury, plus the bad relationship with Mike McCarthy, maybe bad roster building by the former GM Ted Thompson. I have been of the belief that most of what has happened in Green Bay does not fall on the right arm of Aaron Rodgers. This year, though, will be very telling in that. And I believe the window is still wide open. In fact, I believe the Packers are going to play in the Super Bowl this year. But if they have a 9-7 season, squeak into the playoffs or miss the playoffs again, then with the advantage of hindsight, looking back, we might say, oh, that window was wide open briefly and closed pretty quickly, because quarterbacks as good as Aaron Rodgers are don't miss the playoffs 3 straight years in their prime unless there are extenuating circumstances like Drew Brees missed 3 straight years when the defense was just an absolute train wreck. So either, if they miss the playoffs this year, either he's not as good as we think he is, I don't think that's the case, or he's no longer in his prime. And if he's no longer in his prime, then the Super Bowl window is, of course, closing. I think it's none of the above. I think they are fine. I think he's going to be good with LaFleur, and I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl. But this year will be incredibly critical on determining if I'm right about that.
This year is important for his legacy because he ran a Super Bowl winning coach off, a guy who's never, you know, who had very few losing seasons.
Yep.
You know, and this is more about Aaron and his ability to step up, because now I think they finally went out and said, you know what, we need to take some stuff off his plate. Let's go and build a defense around him. They didn't bring Clay Matthews back. They started to turn the page, bringing Zadarius Smith in, drafting Rashawn Gary the 2 previous years, Jair Alexander, building on the outside.
Smith as well.
Preston Smith as well. Yep. So I think they're going to try and win the ugly way. They still don't really have a great running back. I thought Shady would have been great for them as well, you know, his skill set. But it's time for Aaron Rodgers to get his second, because out of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, he's the one that we've surprised the most about, that he's not even been in another Super Bowl to try and win one. So that division is still, I think, wide open. I think that the Bears take a step back. I can't imagine the Bears being able to get that, generate those many turnovers, new defensive coordinator, and I'm not a big believer in Mitch Trubisky. Kirk Cousins, I think they're going to beat each other up a little bit, but I'm not, you know, I'm not overly concerned that if they get in as a wild card that they can't make noise. But it's really important that he gets in and he elevates, because this is the season that before they have to start writing more checks for some of the young talent that they have. So he's taking a big piece of the pie. So now he's going to have to elevate this team and try and get them over the hump within the next couple of years before they have to break this thing down again.
And the other element for the Packers is, what type of offense do they want to be? Because you mentioned their upgrades on defense. No matter what type of offense you are better with a better defense. Let's just assume the defense is better, because not just personnel, but also defense was really bad second half of last year. Yeah. I think they would have been better with the same guys, much less the money and the draft picks they spent. But what type of offense will they be under Matt LaFleur? With the Titans, Matt LaFleur was as run-heavy as any team in this league this side of Seattle. Now, how much of that was philosophy? How much of that was was necessity, personnel. I would argue it was more the latter than the former, but they are going to be more run-heavy this year than they were last year. Last year, even in fourth quarters with leads, they refused to run the ball. Ran the ball in that situation less than just about any team in football. So the point I'm making is that I think Rodgers recognizes that could be to my benefit. But when you're as talented as him, and when for so long the team's success has come and gone with how well you've played, I'm not worried about his relationship with LaFleur personally. But professionally, is Aaron going to be okay with, you know what? We're going to run the ball drastically more than we did last year, if for no other reason than to keep him healthy into the late
But he's got to be all in if you trust in that relationship on and off. And if that's part of what's involved, which is running more, then he's going to have to do it. All right, we got to take a break. Coming up, will the Dallas Cowboys' frustrations with Zeke boil over into the season? Next on First Things First.
Zeke missing week 1 looks more and more like...